Welcome to what is hopefully the final part of this series. That is part 3 of the USA versus Eric Adams, which comes to us from the SDNY and was released a day or two ago, unsealed a day or two ago. Of all the creators on YouTube and forms of media that you could be consuming, that someone would tune into this channel is both humbling and exciting. Thank you. And Mimi also thanks you. Mimi is my dog, by the way. She sits next to me during each recording and she receives lots of pets like she's getting right now. So she appreciates your support as well. I'm continuing where I left off, which is in regards to Adams pressuring the FDNY to facilitate the opening of the Turkish consulate. In September 2021, Eric Adams, the defendant, agreed to pressure a New York City agency to help the Turkish consulate secure a temporary certificate of occupancy, a TCO, for a building it owned and operated. A. As Brooklyn Borough President, Adams had authority under the NYC Charter to affect the administration of city services within his bureau, such as those provided by the FDNY and other agencies, including through holding public hearings, introducing legislation before the City Council, overseeing the coordination of a bureau-wide public service complaint program, and consulting with the mayor of the City of New York on the executive capital budget and other budget recommendations. In addition to, or in the course of, the performance of these duties, as Brooklyn Borough President, Adams met with a number of FDNY members from time to time. In 2017, and this is B, construction began on a 36-story building located in New York and referred to as the Turkish House, or the Turkevi Center, known hereafter as the Turkish House in this indictment. The Turkish House was designed to serve, and now serves, as headquarters of multiple Turkish diplomatic missions, including the Turkish consulate. The cost of the Turkish House was significant and was a topic of political debate in Turkey. C. The Turkish consulate planned to open the Turkish House on September 20th, 2021, so that Turkey's president could formally open the building during his visit for that year's opening of the UN General Assembly. Ensuring the Turkey House opened on schedule was a priority for the Turkish official, who was at this time Turkey's consul general in New York. D. As of August 31st, 2021, construction on the Turkish House was complete, but the DOB had not yet issued a TCO for the building. Without a TCO, the Turkish House would not open during the Turkish president's impending visit. E. The DOB had not issued a TCO because the FDNY had not yet conducted an inspection and issued what the FDNY refers to as a letter of defect, which was a prerequisite to the issuance of a TCO for the Turkish House. Issuing a letter of defect is a regular FDNY procedure which, in substance, identifies the remaining defects in a building's fire safety system, but also serves to signal that the defects are sufficiently limited that the building can be safely occupied. F. From on or about August 31st, 2021, through on or about September 9th, 2021, various New York City officials and employees, among others, sought to help the Turkish official obtain a TCO for the Turkish House by lobbying the chief of the FDNY's Bureau of Fire Prevention, known hereafter as the Fire Prevention Chief, to provide a letter of defect. The Fire Prevention Chief refused, citing numerous reported fire safety defects, some of which were serious, at the Turkish House, and the likelihood that the building would fail any FDNY inspection. G. On or about September 5th, 2021, the Turkish official began asking Adams, both directly and through the staffer, to intervene with the commissioner of FDNY, which is the FDNY commissioner, in order to secure a TCO for the Turkish House. Adams, the Turkish official, and the Adams staffer discussed these requests through phone calls and electronic messages. In a phone call to the Adams staffer, the Turkish official stated that because Turkey had supported Adams, it was now his turn to support Turkey. The Adams staffer relayed this message to Adams, and Adams replied, "I know." H. On September 6, 2021, Adams messaged the Adams staffer that he would contact the FDNY commissioner. I. On September 7th, Adams messaged the staffer that he had a scheduled call with the commissioner later that day. J. On September 8th, Adams messaged the commissioner, asking him to call. Until that point, the messages between the FDNY commissioner and Adams had consisted of an August 3rd, 2021 message to the commissioner, to Adams, requesting to continue serving as FDNY commissioner after Adams became mayor and stressing that he was loyal and trustworthy, to which Adams sent a non-committal response, and also on September 5th, 2021, an invitation to the September 11th memorial service under the FDNY commissioner from the FDNY commissioner to Adams, to which Adams responded that he would try to attend and wished to speak with the FDNY commissioner for a half hour about FDNY. K. Also on September 8th, Adams messaged the commissioner stating in part, quote, "They said they needed a letter of defect from FDNY to DOB. They know they have some issues, but according to them, with the letter, the DOB will give to the TCO." Unquote. The FDNY commissioner responded, "We will get on it tomorrow." Through the Adams staffer, Adams assured the Turkish official, "Don't worry, I am on top of this." L. On September 9, after a contractor working for the Turkish consulate sent an FDNY a letter describing the status of the Turkish house's fire alarm system, the FDNY employee with responsibility for inspecting the system sent the fire prevention chief an email. This email discusses issues with the building and claims to have a list of 60 defects of varying degrees. In it, the FDNY employee concludes that the building appears to be unsafe to occupy. M. On the morning of September 10th, Adams messaged the FDNY commissioner stating that the Turkish official had understood that the FDNY was going to inspect the Turkish house the previous day and, quote, "They really need someone, by today if possible. If it is impossible, please let me know and I will manage their expectation," unquote. The commissioner wrote back that, quote, "There seems to be a difference of opinion between the inspector," unquote, and the private alarm engineer responsible for the building, but that the commissioner was trying to iron it out. N. Shortly after noon on September 10th, Adams messaged the FDNY commissioner, quote, "They said that the higher-ups at FDNY did not give the inspector authorization to come." The FDNY commissioner responded that they were working on it as they spoke. At approximately 2:06 p.m., Adams messaged the Adams staffer that he had again spoken with the FDNY commissioner and that, quote, "He again told me he is on the phone as we speak and trying to resolve this," unquote. O. Also on the afternoon of September 10th, the FDNY chief of department summoned the fire prevention chief to a meeting. The chief of department was the FDNY's commissioner's direct subordinate and the fire prevention chief's superior. The chief of the department informed the fire prevention chief, in substance, that the FDNY did not assist the Turkish consulate in obtaining a TCO. Both the chief of department and the fire prevention chief would lose their jobs. The fire prevention chief then drafted a conditional letter of no objection for the Turkish house. The fire prevention chief had never before written a conditional letter of no objection, which was not standard procedure. Instead, the chief wrote this letter, which he later described as unprecedented, to inform the DOB that FDNY did not object to issuing the TCO, provided that the private engineers affirmed that the fire alarm system functioned properly, and assuming the Department of Buildings has inspected, tested, and approved the installed water-based fire suppression systems. P. At 2:17 p.m. on September 10th, the FDNY commissioner wrote to Adams, "Letter being drafted now. Everything should be good to go Monday morning." 4 minutes later, Adams messaged the Turkish official, quote, "From the commissioner. Letter being drafted now. Everything should be good to go Monday morning," unquote. The Turkish official responded that Eric was great and that he was happy to hear that and that he was a friend of Turkey. Adams replied, quote, "Yes, even more a true friend of yours. You are my brother. "I am here to help," unquote. At 2:30 p.m., the Turkish official confirmed that he was a friend, and at 2:31, the fire prevention chief sent a conditional letter of no objection to the private alarm engineer. After Adams, the defendant, pressured the FDNY to permit a TCO to be issued for the Turkish house, the Turkish official continued to fulfill his end of the bargain by providing additional luxury travel benefits to Adams. These benefits, which Adams accepted, were more than worth $14,000. On September 14th, 4 days after Adams caused the FDNY to acquiesce to the TCO, he messaged the Adams staffer, directing her to secure tickets to Pakistan for a trip from November 30th to December 8th, 2021. The Adams staffer relayed the request to the airline manager, stating that he would pay for economy class price and asking if they could upgrade later. The airline manager replied, of course. On September 21st, the Turkish official, and this is B, messaged the Adams staffer seeking a meeting at a particular time between Adams and the Turkish deputy minister. The Turkish official wrote that it was very important that the deputy minister is the person who makes all the arrangements with a phone call in Turkey. He offered flight, yacht tour, hotel, rental cars. The meeting did not occur because Adams was scheduled to meet with the former president of the United States at the time requested for the meeting with the deputy minister. C. After the airline manager and Adams staffer further discussed the price and timing of Adams' tickets, on September 28, 2021, Adams purchased 2 round-trip economy class tickets on the Turkish Airlines from New York to Pakistan, arriving in Lahore and departing from Islamabad for a total price of $1,436. On November 17, 2021, the Adams staffer messaged Adams to confirm that he still needed to travel and that she should therefore have his tickets upgraded to business class. Adams responded that she should do so. On November 18, 2021, the staffer messaged the airline's manager requesting the update. The Turkish Airlines upgraded Adams' tickets to business class at no cost. D. On November 25th, 4 days before he was scheduled to depart for Pakistan, Adams suggested that his destination be changed to Ghana. The airline manager changed Adams and Adams' partner's tickets to business class to Ghana at no cost. Had Adams paid full price for the business class tickets to Ghana, they would have cost more than $14,000 total. On November 26th, the Turkish official informed the Adams staffer that they would take care of the layover in Istanbul, referring to a 9-hour layover in Istanbul during Adams' just scheduled flight from New York to Ghana. The Turkish official then offered various arrangements for Adams, including an escort to meet Adams and Adams' partner at the gate of the Istanbul airport, pick up at the airport by a luxury vehicle, later specified as a BMW 7, with the driver, dinner at a high-end restaurant where Adams would meet a Turkish government official, drinks at a separate location, a boat tour, and a return to the airport in time for Adams' business flight from Istanbul to Ghana. Adams selected the airport escort, driver, dinner, but declined the cruise, stating that he had done the boat tour a few times. In touting the benefits he provided, the Turkish official messaged the Adams staffer, quote, "Don't let the airline manager and others confuse Adams. We are the state." End quote. F. On November 30th, 2021, the Adams staffer relayed to the Turkish official requests by Adams that his excursion into Istanbul receive no media attention, including social media. The Turkish official agreed that it would be confidential. Accordingly, the Turkish official confirmed that during Adams' dinner at the Istanbul restaurant, the Turkish official's team did not take any pictures. This was in stark contrast to the Ghana portion of Adams' trip, for which Adams actively sought and obtained press coverage, and which Adams posted about on his social media account. G. After Adams completed the layover, the Turkish official exchanged messages with the Adams staffer, ensuring Adams was satisfied with the arrangements. The staffer stated that Adams was indeed satisfied. During and shortly after the travel to Ghana and Istanbul described in the preceding paragraphs, Adams, the defendant, took additional actions for those who provided him with travel benefits in exchange for these benefits. A. In early December 2021, Adams announced the members of his transitions committees, which were established to advise the mayor-elect and his team on policies and appointments before he took office. Initially, there were no members of the Turkish community on any of these committees. B. On December 8th, the Adams staffer sent the airline manager a link to a list of Adams' transition committees and asked the manager whether he looked at the list. The manager responded that it would suit him well to be lead or senior advisor. 2 days later, the airline manager sent a message reiterating, "Lead, please. Otherwise, seat number 52 is empty," on the way back, meaning that if the airline manager was not given a position on the transition committee, it would affect Adams' travel benefits from the Turkish airline. C. On December 17th, the Adams staffer sent Adams a list of members of the Turkish community to include on the transition committees, with the airline manager as the top name. Adams informed the Adams staffer that he had sent the list to the persons responsible for organizing the committees. Adams sent the list to a staff member with the direction, "Add to transition." The airline manager was subsequently added to Adams' Infrastructure, Climate, and Sustainability Committee Transition Committee. D. On December 23rd, a senior Turkish official sent the airline manager a series of text messages noting the manager's membership on Adams' Infrastructure, Climate, and Sustainability Committee and sending applause emojis. The manager responded that his membership on the committee was in service of Turkey. He said, quote, "Thank you, brother. We are doing our best to serve our country adequately. Your support gives us strength here. Thank you. You are always there for us, and we're trying to be worthy," unquote. Eric Adams, the defendant, continued to conceal the luxury travel benefits he accepted in exchange for taking actions favorable to the Turkish official, the airline manager, and others, by once again not reporting these gifts on the 2021 annual disclosure form. In total, from 2016 through 2021, he received the following benefits from the Turkish official, the airline manager, the promoter, and others, none of which he reported on annual disclosure forms. And these are trips, gifts, and travel benefits to destinations in India, France, Turkey, China, Hungary, and Ghana, as you can see, from 2016 through 2021, and it totals worth more than $123,000, none of which were disclosed. Adams continues his corrupt relationship after becoming mayor. After his inauguration, Adams favors those who provided him with illegal benefits over those who fell short. On January 1st, 2022, Eric Adams, the defendant, was inaugurated as mayor of New York City. He soon began preparing for his next election, in part by planning to solicit more straw contributions, and in part by granting requests by those who supported the 2021 campaign with significant straw donations, while denying requests from those who fell short. A. On January 1st, 2022, Adams met the promoter, the Adams staffer, and others at a high-end New York City restaurant frequented by Adams. At one point during the meeting, Adams, the promoter, and the Adams staffer met separately in a private area. There, the promoter discussed his prior efforts to collect campaign contributions for Adams in Turkey, stated that he could not collect more foreign contributions in the future, and indicated that he would be able to raise more money for the 25 campaign if Adams visited Turkey and met with Turkish business people. Adams welcomed the offer of foreign contributions and told the promoter to coordinate with the Adams staffer to arrange the contributions. B. On April 21st, 2022, the Turkish official messaged the Adams staffer, noting that Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day was approaching, and repeatedly asked the Adams staffer for assurances that Adam would not take any statement about the Armenian genocide. The Adams staffer confirmed that Adams would not make a statement about the genocide, and Adams did not make such a statement. C. On November 21st, the promoter messaged the Adams staffer that Businessman 1 was visiting New York and asked that Adams meet with Businessman 1. In support of the requested meeting, the promoter stated that the Turkish University gave support, albeit a little. In support of the requested meeting, the promoter stated that the Turkish University gave support, albeit a little. Adams declined the meeting, stating that they didn't keep their word, meaning that Businessman 1 and the Turkish University had failed to fulfill their commitment to make at least $25,000 in donations to the 2021 campaign. Eric Adams, the defendant, also continued his agreement with the Turkish official to assist in NYC's regulation of the Turkish house in exchange for free or heavily discounted travel benefits from the Turkish Airlines for Adam and his associates. A. From on or about July 8, 2022, to on or about July 12, 2022, the Turkish official exchanged messages with the Adams staffer concerning business class upgrades on the Turkish airline for international travel by 4 of Adams' close associates. B. On July 11th, the Turkish official met with Adams' senior advisor and the staffer, among others, at the Turkish house. In a message, the staffer referred to the Turkish official to Adams' senior advisor, telling the Turkish official, quote, "Ask the senior advisor all your pending problems regarding this building, that is, the Turkish house. Like FDNY approvals, ... unquote. In 2023 and 24, Adams solicits and accepts straw contributions for his 25 re-election campaign. In 23 and 24, Adams, the defendant, again solicited and knowingly accepted straw and foreign contributions as part of his efforts to raise funds for the 25 campaign. In 23, Adams, the defendant, directed his staff to devise plans for him to secretly obtain illegal foreign contributions and donations offered by the promoter, and then knowingly accepted donations of foreign money through straw donors. He then attended a fundraiser where he thanked the true donors, who he knew to be wealthy foreign nationals. A. In the summer of 23, the promoter informed the Adams staffer that he could secure contributions to the 25 campaign from Turkish nationals if Adams would attend an event with the foreign donors. The Adams staffer brought this opportunity to Adams, who directed the staffer to work with the fundraiser to devise a plan to obtain the illegal donations. B. The Adams fundraiser suggested that true foreign donors make their contributions through straw donors considerably in advance of the event at which Adams would meet the true foreign donors, so that the event did not appear connected to the contributions. As the staffer explained to the fundraiser in a text message regarding the planned attendees, quote, "Mayor knows most of them from Turkey. The people know who has business here as well." The staffer and the promoter agreed to execute these plans, which Adam approved. C. The Adams fundraiser, the promoter, and the Adams staffer scheduled an event for September 20th in a private room at a Manhattan hotel. To conceal the event's true purpose, the promoter provided a PowerPoint presentation billing the event as a dinner hosted by international sustainability leaders with the subject Sustainable Destinations at an attendance price of $5,000. The event was not publicized or listed on Adams' public calendar. The fundraiser entered the event on Adams' private calendar as a fundraiser for Eric Adams 2025, with the host listed as the promoter, a goal of $25,000, and the note total submitted before the event $22,800. D. Prior to the scheduled fundraiser, the promoter collected payments of $5,000 or more from attendees, many of whom were foreign nationals. The promoter then used a portion of the attendees' payments to draw straw donations to the 2025 campaign by sending cash from the foreign national donors to the Adams staffer. The staffer then distributed $2,100 in cash to at least 3 straw donors who made each an online $2,100 contribution to the 2025 campaign. E. On September 20th, 2023, the promoter hosted the fundraiser, which Adams, the fundraiser, the staffer, and the foreign nationals who had contributed to the 25 campaign via straw donors attended. In one video of the event, the promoter introduced a foreign national attendee to Adams, explaining that the attendee owned a business and lived in London and Istanbul. Adams proceeded to thank the attendee. On October 9th, Adams, the defendant, attended a fundraiser at which the attendees agreed to make, and Adams agreed to accept, via straw donation. The fundraiser was organized by a Turkish-American public relations representative, known as the PR representative, and the publisher of a magazine targeted at Turkish Americans, known as the publisher, both of whom were associates of the Turkish official and hosted by the owner of a logistics company, Businessman 6, my goodness, who is part of the Turkish American community in the NYC area. A. From late August 23 through early September 23, the Adams staffer and the Adams fundraiser discussed the particulars of the fundraiser, including the creation of a unique fundraising link of the event, which the fundraiser ultimately created. On September 12th, the PR rep and the publisher instructed Businessman 6 on how to make straw donations through U.S. citizens to make it appear that contributions came from a lawful source. C. Beginning at least as early as September 29th, the Adams staffer sent the Adams fundraiser updates regarding how much money was being raised in connection with the planned fundraiser. On October 8th, the day before the event, the two exchanged messages in which the staffer confirmed they would collect $25,000 when asked by the fundraiser if the goal would be made. D. Also on October 8th, the airline manager sent the Turkish official the unique fundraising link for the event. At the October 9th fundraiser, Businessman 6 told Adams that Businessman 6 owned a large corporation and wished to contribute significant amounts of money to the 25 campaign. Adams told Businessman 6 to coordinate with the Adams staffer. Businessman 6 then explained to the staffer that his company employed many drivers and that he would contribute to the 2025 campaign through those employees. Adams scheduled a dinner with Businessman 6 for early November, which was canceled after the federal investigations into Adams' conduct became public. Adams and his co-conspirators attempt to conceal their criminal conduct. Throughout the commission of the conduct described in paragraphs 1 through 46 of this indictment, Adams, the defendant, and his agents and co-conspirators sought to conceal the wrongful conduct from scrutiny by the public and law enforcement. As described above, he repeatedly did not disclose the free and heavily discounted travel benefits accepted from the Turkish official, the promoter, and the airline manager, created a false paper trail to suggest he had paid for his travel when, in fact, Adams had not, ensured the staffer that he had a practice of deleting his messages, all of them, with the Adams staffer, and directed the staffer to ensure that his activities in Turkey in 2021 were shielded from public view. In addition, the purpose of conducting straw donations discussed through this indictment was to allow Adams to benefit from illegal campaign contributions by concealing their true source. Eric Adams, the defendant, and his co-conspirators and agents continued their efforts to defeat scrutiny of the criminal conduct after the federal investigation into those crimes became known to them. On November 2nd, 2023, special agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, executed search warrants at, among other locations, the residence of the Adams fundraiser, Businessman 5, and the Adams staffer. Each took actions to conceal the criminal conduct they had committed with Adams. A. After learning the FBI agents had arrived at her residence, but before answering the repeated knocks at the door, the Adams fundraiser called Adams 5 times, even though the agents had not yet given the fundraiser any indication of the purpose for their visit. When the fundraiser then spoke to the FBI agents, she agreed to discuss many subjects, but refused to say who had paid for her 2021 travel to Turkey. As the FBI agents departed the fundraiser's residence, Adams attempted to call the fundraiser's phone. On the morning that the FBI agents executed the search, Adams had flown to Washington, D.C. for a publicized official meeting. But upon learning about the search, he canceled the meeting and immediately returned to New York City. B. Businessman 5 also agreed to speak with the FBI agents and acknowledged that he and his employees had contributed to the 2021 campaign. He further acknowledged that he had spoken with the Turkish official about his construction company's fundraiser for the 2021 campaign. But Businessman 5 lied in order to conceal the straw donations he orchestrated, falsely denying that he caused his construction company to reimburse his employees for their contributions, and that he knew why the company had issued identical checks to 10 employees or the amount of their contributions shortly before the fundraiser. C. The Adams staffer also agreed to speak with the FBI agents and falsely denied criminal conduct of herself and Adams, among others. At one point during her voluntary interview, the staffer excused herself to the bathroom and, while there, deleted the encrypted messaging apps she had used to communicate with Adams, the promoter, the Turkish official, the airline manager, and others. D. On November 6, 2023, FBI agents executed a search warrant for the electronic devices used by Adams, the defendant. Although he was carrying several electronic devices, including 2 cell phones, he was not carrying his personal cell phone, which is the device he used to communicate about the conduct described in this indictment. When Adams produced his personal cell phone the next day in response to a subpoena, it was locked, such that the device required a password to open. Adams claimed that after he learned about the investigation into the conduct, he changed the password on November 5, 2024, and increased the complexity of his password from 4 digits to 6. Adams had done this, he claimed, to prevent members of his staff from inadvertently or intentionally deleting the contents of his phone because, according to Adams, he wished to preserve the contents of his phone due to the investigation. But Adams further claimed he had forgotten the password he had just set, and thus was unable to provide FBI with a password that would unlock his phone. As the federal investigation into the criminal conduct of Eric Adams, the defendant, continued, so did efforts to frustrate that investigation. On June 13, 2024, FBI agents interviewed Businessman 4 and the 4 employees of his company, through whom Businessman 4 was asked to make straw donations to the 2021 campaign. Later that day, Adams Employee 1 visited Businessman 4 at his company's offices. Adams Employee 1 stated that he had just met with Adams at City Hall. The employee proceeded to discuss with Businessman 4 what had happened with the FBI and encouraged him to lie with federal investigators. Adams Employee 1 then asked to address Businessman 4's 4 employees who had made straw donations to the 21 campaign and encouraged them to lie to the federal investigators as well. Employee 1 then took photographs of the subpoena that had been issued to Businessman 4 to send to Adams. B. On the following day, Businessman 4 met again with the employee. Adams Employee 1 told Businessman 4 that he had met with Adams at City Hall earlier that day and that they had left their cell phones outside the room in which they met, so that it would be safe to talk. Adams Employee 1 explained to Businessman 4 that although Adams was upset that law enforcement had approached Businessman 4, he believed that Businessman 4 would not cooperate with law enforcement. We have made it to the statutory allegations. There are 5 counts in the indictment, and I will abbreviate or summarize where I can, and there's probably only a couple areas that I can do so. Count 1, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, federal program bribery and to receive campaign contributions by foreign nationals. The grand jury charges the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 49 of this indictment are repeated and realleged as if set forth fully herein. From at least in or about 2015 through at least in or about 2024, the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Eric Adams, the defendant, and others known and unknown, willfully and knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to commit offenses against the United States, namely wire fraud, this is A, wire fraud in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 1343, soliciting, accepting, and receiving a campaign contribution by a foreign national in violation of Title 52 U.S. Code, Section 30121, and bribery in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 666. It was a part and object of the conspiracy that Adams, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly having devised and intended to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud, and for obtaining money and property by means of which false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises would and did transmit and cause to be transmitted by means of wire, radio, and television communication in interstate and foreign commerce, writings, signs, signals, pictures, and sounds, for the purposes of executing such scheme and artifice in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 1343. It was further a part and object of the conspiracy that Adams, the defendant, and others known and unknown, would and did knowingly and willfully solicit, attempt, and receive directly and indirectly a contribution and donation from a foreign national and express implied promises to make a contribution and donation in connection with a local election, namely mayoral elections in the city of New York, aggregating $25,000 and more in a calendar year, in violation of Title 52 U.S. Code Sections 30121 and 30109, It was further a part and object of the conspiracy that Adams, the defendant, being an agent of local government, namely the city of New York, which, in a one-year period, received benefits in excess of $10,000 under a federal program involving a grant, contract, subsidy, loan, guarantee, insurance, and other form of federal assistance, corruptly solicited and demand for the benefit of the person and accepted and agreed to accept a thing of value from a person, intending to be influenced and rewarded in connection with a business, a transaction, and a series of transactions in the city of New York involving a thing of value at $5,000 or more in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 666. Overt acts. In furtherance of the conspiracy and to effect the illegal objects thereof, the following overt acts, among others, were committed by Adams, the defendant, in the SDNY and elsewhere. A. In 2016, Adams accepted free upgrades to business class for himself and a companion on round-trip flights from New York to India. In 2017 of July, Adams accepted free business tickets for himself and two companions on round-trip flights from New York to France, Turkey, Sri Lanka, and China. In July 2017, Adams accepted a steeply discounted stay at the Bentley Suite of the St. Regis, Istanbul. In October of 17, Adams accepted free business tickets for himself and a companion on round-trip flights from New York to China. In January 2018, Adams accepted free upgrades to business class for himself and a companion on round-trip flights from New York to Hungary. In November 2018, Adams directed the Adams staffer to arrange to accept contributions of foreign funds from businessman 1. In January 2019, Adams accepted a free stay at the Cosmopolitan Suite of a luxury hotel in Istanbul. In January 2019, Adams met with businessman 3 in Istanbul, where he agreed to accept campaign contributions of foreign money. In December 2020, the Adams employees solicited straw donations to the Adams campaign from businessman 4. In May of 21, Adams accepted a fundraiser, or attended a fundraiser, organized by the Turkish official, among others, where he accepted straw donations from Businessman 5. In May of 21, Adams submitted a false disclosure statement to the CFB that concealed straw donations from Businessman 5. In June of 21, Adams solicited steeply discounted business class tickets, stays at a luxury hotel and resort, and transportation, including a domestic flight and car and driver. In June of 21, Adams solicited a free hotel stay and free use of a VIP room in a business class lounge of the Turkish Airlines from the Adams fundraiser. In or about August of 21, Adams directed the staffer to obtain contributions of foreign funds from the Turkish University. In September of 21, Adams caused the FDNY to issue a letter acquiescing to the occupation of a Turkish house. In September of 21, Adams solicited and accepted steeply discounted business class tickets for himself and a companion on round-trip flights from New York to Pakistan. In October 21, Adams submitted a false disclosure statement to the CFB that concealed straw donations from the Turkish University. In November of 21, he solicited and accepted a free car and driver and meal at a luxury restaurant for himself and his companion in Istanbul. In January of 22, Adams attended a meeting with the promoter, among others, where he agreed to accept contributions of foreign money to the 25 campaign. In July 22, Adams' senior advisor and the staffer met the Turkish official at the Turkish house, and the staffer identified Adams' senior official as the point of contact for the Turkish officials' pending problems regarding the Turkish house, such as FDNY approvals. In July of 22, the Turkish official arranged to provide business class upgrades on the Turkish Airlines for 4 of Adams' close associates. In September of 23, Adams attended a fundraiser where he thanked foreign donors for contributions of foreign money to the 25 campaign made through straw donors. In October of 23, Adams attended a fundraiser where he directed the Adams staffer to coordinate the receipt of straw donations from Businessman 6. And those overt acts were listed as A through W, and of the Title 18 United States Code, Section 371. Count 2, wire fraud. All preceding paragraphs are repeated and realleged from at least in or about 2018 through at least in or about 2024, the SDNY and elsewhere. Adams, the defendant, knowingly having devised and intending to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises, transmitted and caused to be transmitted by wire, radio, and TV communication in interstate and foreign commerce, writing, signals, signs, pictures, and sounds, for the purposes of executing such scheme and artifice to which Adams participated in a scheme to fraudulently obtain matching funds for the Adams campaign by falsely claiming that contributions made qualified for the matching funds when in fact those contributions did not. That is Title 18 U.S. Code, Sections 13, 43, and 2. Count 3. Solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national. The grand jury further charges all preceding paragraphs are repeated and realleged. In or about 2021, in the SDNY and elsewhere, Adams, the defendant, knowingly and willfully solicited, accepted, and received, and aided and abetted, and willfully caused the solicitation, acceptance, and receipt of a contribution and donation from a foreign national, and express and implied promises to make a contribution and donation in connection with a local election, namely mayoral elections in the city of New York, aggregating $25,000 and more in a calendar year. That's Title 52 U.S. Codes, Sections 30121 and 30109, and Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 2. Count 4. Solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national. The grand jury further charges all preceding paragraphs are repeated and realleged. in or about 2023 in the SDNY and elsewhere. Eric Adams, the defendant, knowingly and willfully solicited, accepted, and received, and aided and abetted and willfully caused the solicitation, acceptance, and receipt of a contribution and donation from a foreign national and express and implied promises to make a contribution and donation in connection with a local election, specifically mayoral elections in the city of New York, aggregating $25,000 and more in a calendar year. That's Title 52, U.S. Code, Sections 30121 and 30109, and Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 2. Count 5, the final count, I think. Bribery. The grand jury further states, all preceding paragraphs are repeated and re-alleged. From at least in or about the summer of 21 through at least or in or about the summer of 22 in the SDNY and elsewhere, Adams, the defendant, being an agent of a local government, namely the City of New York, which, in a one-year period, received benefits in excess of $10,000 under a federal program involving a grant, contract, subsidy, loan, guarantee, insurance, and other form of federal assistance, corruptly solicited and demanded for the benefit of a person, and accepted and agreed to accept a thing of value from a person, intending to be influenced and rewarded in connection with business, a transaction and a series of transactions in NYC involving a thing of value of $5,000 and more, specifically which Adams solicited and accepted free and heavily discounted luxury travel benefits from the Turkish officials and others in exchange for intending to be influenced in connection with the City of New York's regulation of the Turkish House, located in New York, New York. Title 18 U.S. Code, Sections 666. Forfeiture allegations. As a result of committing one or more of the offenses alleged in counts 1, 2, and 5 of this indictment, Eric Adams, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States, pursuant to Title 18 United States Code, Section 981, and Title 28 U.S. Code, Section 2461, any and all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offenses, including but not limited to a sum of money in the United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commissions of said offenses. Substitute assets provision. If any of the above described forfeitable property, as a result of any act or omission of the defendant, A, cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, B, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person, C, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, D, has been substantially diminished in value, or E, has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty. It is the intent of the United States, pursuant to Title 21 U.S. Code Section 853 and Title 28 U.S. Code Section 2461, to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendant up to the value of above forfeitable property. It's Title 18 U.S. Code 981, Section 981, Title 21 U.S. Code Section 853, and Title 28 U.S. Code 2461. Signed by Damian Williams, United States Attorney. And that does it. All the pages, all the things of the unsealed indictment that we know of so far, and maybe there's more, I don't know. But anyway, that was long. Thank you so much for hanging in there if you did. I don't know if I put you to sleep or what you're doing. Maybe you're driving and listening to this. No matter what the case, thank you for liking, subscribing. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for spreading the word. Thank you for all the things. Truly, thank you. And I will see you next time.